everybody. It's your girl Evie again. And I thought, since I'm on a roll, let's go ahead and talk about some more stuff. This video is about the 5 worst villains on SVU. So let me get serious for a moment. If you have a weak stomach, this ain't for you. If you don't want to hear about what happened to other people violently, this ain't for you. But I know that you watch, I know that you know, I know that you saw, and I'm going to talk about the 5 worst villains on SVU that I think are the worst. You can be sure to tell me in the comments which one you think were the worst. But let's go through some of these maniacs, okay? Okay, Merritt Rook, this guy right here, played by Robin Williams, episode 9, season 17, takes us into the mind of one of the most chilling villains of all time on the show. And he's played by, like I said, the unforgettable Robin Williams. I love Robin Williams, and I'm really sad that he passed on in life due to suicide, because he felt like he couldn't handle the diagnosis that he was given. You know, he brought a lot of joy to this world. And then when he ended, it felt like a piece of joy was actually taken away. Now, he played all kinds of mind games with the detectives in this particular episode. He played Merritt Rook, remember? And was responsible for the death of his own wife's doctor. And do not let us forget, he kidnapped Olivia. That's crazy. Merritt Rook, guys. Okay, another one of the worst villains on SVU, Victor Gitano. Now, Victor Gitano is played by Lou Diamond Phillips, season 7, episode 19. He kidnapped children. You know, this man took kids. He was a liar, a kidnapper, a rapist. He took 2 kids, and they were trying to get the kids back. Not only that, he was a registered sex offender before, so he did this before and got caught, and then still was kidnapping kids. But during the chase, in trying to get these kids back in the bus station, you know, Olivia tried to negotiate with him, and he actually slashed her throat. Yeah, I really thought Olivia was dead. I thought she was going to bleed out right there, but she didn't. But he did murder one of the kids that he took. He held Stabler at gunpoint when he was tracked down by the old U.S. Air Force, and Stabler was like, shoot him. Shoot me, shoot him, do something, shoot him. And Olivia was like, I'm not finna put my, gun down. Because he was like, put the gun down. And Olivia was like, well, I'm not going to put my gun down, but I'm not going to shoot you either. So she wouldn't do it. And Stabler told her to shoot him many, many times, but she wouldn't. Now, he was shot, Victor Gitano, by a sniper. They got him. And the other kid was rescued. But he was crazy. I mean, he was crazy enough to actually get to Olivia and actually hurt Olivia. And I think maybe this is the first time that we saw something like that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think it was. I don't know. Anyway, let's get to another guy. And I know you think he's the worst, because I think he's the worst. William Lewis. He's played by Pablo Schreiber. Season 14 through season 15. He was a monster. Like, he kidnapped Olivia, he tortured her, he burned her with cigarettes, with hot keys, he poured vodka down her mouth, he gave her sleeping pills, he slapped her around, he hurt her, he tied her up, all of this. He was devilish and truly twisted. He was a serial killer, and he escaped from jail, and then he kidnapped Olivia again. Like, this guy was nuts. He was born in Kentucky. He was abused by his babysitter. And while it was happening, his drunk father, who happened to be having sex with his babysitter, woke up after he had, fell asleep in a drunken stupor. And then he woke up and he brutally raped her in front of his son, William. So there you go. He was already damaged. He even took his son out for ice cream afterwards. Wow. In 1998, he kidnapped and raped the mother of his girlfriend. You want to know why? Because she tried to break them up. She knew he was nuts. But he was captured. But since the DA did not want to put the witness on the stand, who happened to be a junkie at the time, they dropped the charges. Now in 2003, he kidnapped 2 roommates in Alabama and raped and tortured them for 3 straight days. Eventually they escaped, thank God. But during the trial, they were too messed up in their mind, like that was too much for them, so they couldn't even testify. So he got off again. And because of a typing error, a mistake, the records didn't even follow him. His name is spelled Lewis, Lewis, not Lewis, Louis. And because they put it on the paperwork, Louis, the spelling mistake caused his records not to follow him where he went next. So no one even knew he was a criminal. Now, we do see that he kidnaps Liv due to her being involved in one of the rape cases that he was involved in, and he had, against her. He, like I said, he did all kinds of disgusting things to her. And then we see him playing Russian roulette with her after he kidnapped her again. He kidnapped a young girl, and, Olivia is trying to make sure that this girl lives. So she goes to him as he requests, and he kidnaps her again. And she got the best of him this time. He was arrested before. He represented himself in court. Who represents himself in court? Crazy people. Crazy people. Because how can you control yourself against yourself? He takes that young girl, Olivia meets him. Like I said, they play Russian roulette. And then at the end, there's only 1 bullet left. Well, it was only 1 bullet to begin with, but it was the last chamber. So he shoots himself to try to implicate her about his murder. And it almost works. It almost works that she did it. But she is eventually is exonerated. And they know that this guy's just plumb crazy. This guy was a total nightmare. And years to come nightmare. He was the worst to me. What he did to her was the worst. I imagine that happening. Be safe out there. Dr. Greg Yates. Now, he was played by Dallas Roberts. Season 16 through season 17. He was a serial rapist and a serial murderer who terrorized women for years. And he was a doctor, a surgeon. He murdered and raped in New York, Illinois, North Carolina, New Orleans, New Jersey. He was a sick man. He even escaped from prison. I'm gonna need y'all to lock it down. Lock it down. These people shouldn't be getting out. I know it's a, series, but it makes you think about real life. Now, he killed a lot of animals as a child and acted strangely. So his parents kind of knew something was up. So when they got pregnant with his sister, they had him put into adoption. So another family adopted him and they raised him because they didn't want the new baby to be tortured by him. So he always believed that his mother abandoned him. So he took it out on all women. He kidnapped, he raped, he murdered a pregnant woman named Gillian Hayde. Like I said, he was a surgeon. He disposed of the bodies in the burial ground that he had on the beach. But what gave him away was that he would paint all their nails green. Right? I don't know why he liked green. But anyway, he would do it. Now, eventually, he started burning the bodies instead of burying them like he did in the past. And he ends up kidnapping Nadia. Y'all remember Nadia from Chicago PD? Sometimes we have crossovers like that in SVU. And we really love it. But in this case, it was so sad. And he takes her all the way to New York. He eventually rapes, sodomizes her, and eventually murders her. When a body washes up from his burial ground, the SVU send out Detective Amanda Rollins. And she drives to the prison where he is and she questions him about it. Come to find out, he didn't even kill this person. But he kind of knows who did. And they kind of use him like in Silence of the Lambs kind of stuff, where you tell me about the lotion in the basket, and you tell me how this other copycat killer could be doing this. Sickness. She has to sit there and endure this to try to figure this out, but she's doing everything she can to try to bring justice to these families. You know, Yates even tells her that she's pregnant without ever mentioning it to him. As a matter of fact, he said he could smell her scent and it was different. She didn't even know she was pregnant. Oh, this guy was sick, disturbed. Finally, Henry Mesner. He's a psychopath. He was a psychopathic kid. And by the age of 10, he had physically and mentally abused his sister Ruby. Y'all remember Ruby? At school, she tells the nurse she got the bruises on her stomach from being pushed by a monster. Well, guess who that monster was? Henry. Turns out it was him all the time. It was Henry all along. Oh my gosh. So he's sent to a juvenile detention facility. And he took a boy hostage at gunpoint, assaulting not only Amaro, but Ruby too. Now, as he grew up, he was still in the detention facility, and he saw so many doctors, and he faked the funk and pretended like he was all good, he was all sorry, he was repentant. He played the role so he could get out, and he was paroled and let out in 2021. But what happened? He went on a killing spree. Because he's crazy, psychopathic, crazy. Well, luckily, when he killed his own family, who said that he could come and live with them, Ruby wasn't there. Now, he raped and tortured his psychiatrist's daughter, Libby. You heard what I said. His psychiatrist's daughter, Libby. Sometimes it doesn't pay to tell people about our family and our loved ones, especially if you're in a dangerous situation like that. And I'm not faulting the psychiatrist. I'm just looking at hindsight 2020 and saying, well, maybe if she didn't have a picture of her daughter or mention things about her daughter, he wouldn't have been able to get to her daughter. You know what I'm saying? He wouldn't even known she had a daughter. He found her. He kidnapped her, held her at gunpoint. His own sister, Ruby. Yeah. And Amanda had to go into the fun house, which was no dang on fun. I hate fun houses. They're scary. But anyway, Amanda had to go in there and she had to convince him to let go of Ruby. And she did convince him. She did convince him to let her go. But Henry, had been stalking her and her daughter, Jessie. Because at the time he was sent to the juvenile facility, in the past, Amaro and Amanda had been partners. So he knew this. So can you imagine? He's stalking your child. You know, you're a cop and he's stalking your child. Well, he's sent again to prison, but not before a trial. Well, an arraignment, I should say. And he stabs Carisi in the ear. And he was dragged away by the security guards. All the time he's being dragged away, he's screaming, I want my dad. Where's my dad? I want my dad. Now you know you done killed your dad. Yo, crazy behind. You killed him. How you calling him? He pleaded insanity. He was sent to an institution and he was drugged up. And the prison, because Carisi was like, he needs to go to prison. And they were like, well, we don't really know if he's insane or if he's playing insane, but either way, we will give him a trial. So no matter what, they said they were going to have him institutionalized again. Now, how insane was Henry? Was he insane? Or was he just a psychopath? No, he stood trial. But anyway, Rollins visits Henry in the institution. And he's all drugged up. And she told him, she said, if you ever get out, you ever try to hurt anybody else, or including my family or my friends, I'm going to kill you. And she meant every dang word of that. I felt it in my spirit. Well, there it is. The list of the guys that scare the daylights out of me, make me secure my doors extra times each day, each night. These guys gave me nightmares. But it also taught me valuable lessons that not all people are here to help you, that not all people are nice, and we have to be careful out there. What were your top 5 villains of all time on the SVU? Or even your top 1? Leave it in the comments below. You know a girl wants to know. And I'll be back with another video soon. Until then, be careful out there. Be careful out there. And Law and Order on. Thanks.